Okay. So hello everybody. Thanks for joining us on this e-learning network video. Well, it is a video, but webinar. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Stephen Flurrie, who's working at the East of England Co-op, Head of Learning and Development. And today's session, we're going to find out all about working with video. At the end of the session, we'll come back and tell you a bit more about what the e-learning network has in the pipeline in terms of events. But right now, I'm going to switch my video off and hand over to you, Stephen.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to do the same and switch my video off just to save every inch of bandwidth that we've got. So bear with me while I do the same. And then we can get into the, rather than looking at a video of me, you can have a look at a picture of half of my face instead.
Stephen, sorry, I should have just said to people that we'll use the chat as much as we want to. So anybody who wants to ask Stephen a specific question, just drop it into the chat using the all panelists and attendees drop down. And you're happy to take questions on the go, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So any questions that come in, stick them in the chat box, and hopefully the folks that are facilitating will pick the questions out and get those over to me. That would be great. So yeah, welcome and thanks very much for this opportunity to talk about video in learning. A quick introduction, as Joan said, I'm Stephen and I'm the Head of Learning and Development for the East of England Co-op. And I've been there for about 5 years now, and we have a really diverse business. Everything from food retail to funerals. We have a stonemasons business and an events company and a property business and lots in between. So a really diverse audience that we look after. And prior to that, I worked for Xerox in a global role looking at the learning technologies and culture. So I have a bit of a background there in sort of big transformational projects too. And today, really, I want to talk you all through our journey, really, with video and what we've done, and our timeline, if you like. So what we're going to talk about today is I'm going to go and have a little look back first at where we started with video and how that's really evolved in the early days and how we got confident in using video within the business. And the user acceptance as well, and how that changed user perception of the learning. I want to spend a bit of time talking about a massive leadership and cultural transformation program that we ran a couple of years ago, and that was underpinned by video and a partnership that we have with Video Arts. A little bit more about how our video production in-house continued to grow, and some experimentation with other technologies, and kind of where we are today, and how we're trying to change learning culture with video and a learner experience platform. So that's the kind of structure for the day. Is we are going to be brave, and I'm going to try and share some videos as we go through. However, as with technology, if we have any problems and you just get a lot of pixelization on the screen, I think that after it'd be fine for Joan to send out links to these clips. So if anyone wanted to go back and have a look, then they can go ahead and do that. So just in terms of getting an idea of where you are at the moment, how about people type into the chat box how they are currently using video in learning? And that would help give me an idea of the people we've got in the room and what you are doing. Hopefully I'll be able to see those messages coming through if anyone's typing, including the panelists. And you have to type, and when you select all panelists and attendees. So some people using animated videos there with Vyond, which I think was Go Animate previously. They sort of rebranded. And some videos of managers talking through subjects. Yeah, more animations there, which is really popular. any to their curated content and links to external video sites. Okay, Brill, we're going to talk about that a bit more later as well. And one I'm really interested in there is encouraging user-generated content in social blends. Wow, that's kind of the nirvana, I think. So again, we'll probably talk to that a little bit later on as well. So, I mean, if we go to the start of the timeline then, I mean, our team at the East of England Co-op were experimenting with video back in 2013 where I joined, and this is a kind of a video, the first video I want to share really, and we'll see if this plays out for you.
We've come to the end of your review now, Alex, and we've come to the last section, which is about communication with sort of colleagues within the society. One of the main things we have within the society to communicate things is the scoop. You really? I can't do it. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it.
Yes, near the end of the day.
So just to give you just an idea of the kind of quality they were using, just a handheld camera, a microphone, and the quality wasn't great, but we used that particular video in a performance appraisal course, and we kind of used it to show good style of management versus a bad style. And you know, we used it in the classroom, it promoted discussion, but what we found and discovered really quickly through anecdotal and course feedback was that where we were using videos of our own people with a bit of humour, that was really starting to make the learning more relevant and relatable, you know, more fun and definitely more memorable. So even back then, sort of 5 or 6 years ago, we were starting to see people actually asking for more of that type of content, which really started on us on our road to try and transform the way we used it in the co-op. I hope that played for people as well. So yeah, and someone's commented there. It was yeah, it was really interesting, and we've continued to draw people from the business into the videos as I'll talk about. So our own video production really went on from strength to strength, and I mean, some of the things that we were talking about doing was, one, transforming the way we talked about compliance training, because in the early days, and I mean, people will probably be able to relate to this, compliance training can be a bit of a drag for the L&D team, can't it? Where you're trying to get people to get through their compliance and get the numbers through, and you know, often it was read this and answer a quiz type learning. And what we've done over the past few years is really start to bring compliance training to life and create our own compliance content with video in. And the first sort of stat really, and this is one that's really important to us and worthy of note. So in the first year of our digital compliance training, 41% of people approved of that style of training. And the last polls that we've done over the past 6 months with our own compliance and our own video content included in it has risen to 91% of people say that they like to learn that way, which is, you know, fantastic for us. It means that we are getting compliance training done quicker. People are actually having a bit of fun while doing it as well. And yeah, we have a compliance rate of over 95% across our business. So you know, we attribute that to our internal build, but also the fact that we've got our own people in the videos. Another thing we started to use was telling stories about why we're different as a business, so some cultural stories. And at the bottom right picture there was a story of the small things that our people can do that make us different as a co-op, and we included about 35 colleagues in that. And again, it's one of the most popular pieces of learning we've ever launched, and we use it for new starters and current employees. And it's amazing, just telling those small aspirational stories has really had a massive impact on the business. One of the things another top tip, and one of the things we did really early on was we got a couple of our CEOs involved, and I want to show you just another clip here, which involves our CEO Mark O'Hagan here. So
I'll decide.
Okay.
I don't mind the staff seeing a bit of strong management.
Strong man. Yeah. No. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. So your attitude, it stinks.
Stinks.
Yeah.
What have I done then? Or what haven't I done?
I don't need to justify that.
Okay. Well,
If I
okay.
decide that you've got a bad attitude, that's up to me.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So don't you sort of just be getting clever.
So yeah, Mark is the aggressive manager there in the chair. So and Adrian, who's getting a beating from him, is one of my team in the L&D team. So, but we have had the role reversal in the videos. But I would say getting some of those key influences on board is absolutely priceless. And you know, a bit of humility from them and putting themselves out there has really helped us to engage other people, and people do want to see when you've got the CEO acting out, you know, bad management styles in videos. It really, really does work. So my advice would be get your influencing skills polished up and get out there and try and see if you can engage those C-level people in your business and get them involved. So we've been working really hard on integrating video into most of our learning by then, and you know, a lot of work went into upskilling my own team. So it one in video production and learning those skills, and two, some training around what is real blended learning and how to actually really integrate video into our major learning programs. And that brings us on to my next big challenge, which was know-how leadership, which is a massive focus for us on manager capability across the whole organization. Now, so yeah, know-how leadership for us was underpinned by video, and we worked really, really closely with Video Arts on this. It's worth pointing out as well, in 2017, the team won a silver award for Best Leadership Development Program, a national award with the TJ Awards. And you can see that, well, you might not be able to see, but the team made the front cover of the Training Journal magazine, because that year we also won Team of the Year. So it's a really high impact program, and it really was, you know, video played a really big part in that, in getting out a consistent message to all of our people. So if I tell you a little bit more about this then, this program. So I won't dwell on this page for too long, because what this shows is a typical journey for a learner through the program. And if I just zoom in on one of these areas here, each module, each topic, you know, that the managers were having to go through was a real blended approach. So as well as face-to-face training, you had coaching, action planning, nominations and awards ceremonies, but the whole of the modules were underpinned by the video arts content. Actually, we used for e-learning pre-work and post-course activity as well. And if you think of the audience we were getting this out to, there were 800 managers across all those different business lines. It's really hard to reach those types of people with a consistent message. And we're also trying to really tackle like a leadership culture challenge at the same time as a learning culture challenge as well, because this is a really very different way of delivering leadership development programs for us at the co-op. So yeah, this is very interesting, and we had quite a few interesting leadership cultural challenges that we wanted to address, and I'll talk to you in a second about some of the videos that we used to do that. That's kind of a brief overview of the leadership program, and but in fact, for that program, we used the video arts content in kind of 5 or 6 different ways, really. It just shows how versatile it is. So for those e-learning modules that supported the program, we actually took the video video clips from Video Arts, and we embedded those into our own e-learning. So we created co-op e-learns, and we utilized the Video Arts video clips within those, and linked out via those. And in terms of the uptake and the usage of those for the branch managers, over 75% of managers that completed the program went back to revisit the same e-learning modules. So they're really very popular, and a complete sea change in learning culture for us, for managers then going off in their own time and seeking out the learning to follow up and to complete the actions after they've done the face-to-face training. So that was a massive change for us. But some of the other ways that we used it as well, for more senior managers, we wanted to give them support networks so they could coach and mentor people through the program. So again, we used these email templates which were supplied by the guys at Video Arts, and just let them go off and learn these topics in their own time. In addition to this, we had both sets of groups, so managers and participants attending face-to-face training, but we used different branding. So we had a specific know-how branded pack, which was the program name for our branch managers. But for the senior managers in the business, we just took the off-the-shelf Video Arts branded packs and ran face-to-face sessions with those, and shorter sessions as well. And we also used some of the materials to create workbooks and follow-up tools and job aids and action planning sheets. So, and the final way that we used was the follow-up emails, and like I said, they were used by over 75% of managers. So I've got a clip. It's one of the Video Arts modules, and I talked earlier about we had some challenges with management behaviour, even at the senior level, and sometimes it's difficult to broach that. And what we found with Video Arts content, it really engaged people at all levels, and we were able to put this type of learning in front of the senior managers and the execs, and they engage with it just as well as some of our people across the business. And this is a clip of one of the courses that we sent out.
Hi there, I'm Good Leader.
And I'm Bad Leader.
Small talk is one of the most important skills a leader must have.
Small talk. Waste of company time. We're not here to chit-chat and chinwag.
Chit-chat can help you get to know the team, asking them how their weekend went, that sort of thing.
I mean, I can do small talk if I have to, of course. I can do it in my sleep.
That sounds like big talk. Why don't you show us what you've got?
Watch and learn. Leanne?
Oh, hello.
Just wondered if you fancied a bit of small talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have a good weekend?
Oh, did I have a good weekend? Oh, what did I do? Oh, yes, I did.
Still raining outside, I see.
Yes, rain is wet. It's wet out there. Outside.
Right, well, see you later.
Okay,
Bye.
see you. Oh, did you have a good weekend?
Sorry?
Did you? Sorry, you were going, weren't you?
Yeah.
Was it good though?
What?
So even just watching that clip, it does make me chuckle, because we had just tackling small issues. Like, we had senior managers going into some of our branches, and one of the complaints from the people in the field was these senior people come in, they don't talk to us. And one of the behavioural changes we wanted to see was, if a senior person went into a shop or a funeral branch or one of our opticians, they got to make the time to talk to people and be personable. And what you get here is just a really funny approach to, getting that behaviour change out. And what Video Arts do really well is put that humour in and make it really accessible for people at all levels. So it's a good example. But we used a lot of those, and we still do. So they work quite well. Good. So, yeah, really, really simple and effective. And it's a really good point as well, because they actually just try and tackle one clear message in a video, and that really helps. We're not trying to drown people with lots and lots of information. So it's very good. They're about 3 minutes long each. So I want to just quickly talk on some of the measurements, because it was a massive change program. So we did lots of measurements across the business to see if it would be effective, and the results were really transformational. So what we did was, in the first instance, we went out and we actually surveyed everyone across the business from CEO level down to customer service assistant. And we asked managers and subordinates, colleagues, separate questions. So we asked managers, do you feel confident giving feedback? And, we asked the employees, colleagues, if you like, do you receive feedback? And we did that across a whole suite of questions. Feedback there, but we also asked about coaching, performance issues, praise, and lots more. And what we also did is we asked those questions before we started the program, at the midpoint of the program, and post-program as well. And some of the changes were astronomical, really. I mean, performance issues being dealt with fairly in my area from 40% to 75%. And does my manager, do I feel confident coaching 32% to 75%? But yeah, we had a really good, clear picture of what was happening out there in the stores. Of course, some of the other measures were measures which we had existing already. So we have our employee engagement score here and our net promoter score. So our engagement surveys have been running with the same questions for the last 7 years. So we've got really consistent measurements. And over the period that we ran the Know-How Leadership Program, the scores they're the highest they've ever been, and they've increased from 3.96 to 4.05 out of 5, which for us is absolutely fantastic. Now, our Net Promoter Score, or our NPS, that's done by an external company. They survey our customers outside every single one of our branches. They talk to all different demographics of customers. And again, you can see that the spike in our Net Promoter Customer Service score is amazing as well. And it went from plus 51 to plus 69, which we're really proud is actually higher than Apple's Net Promoter Score. So really reaching out to all those different people across the business had a massive impact. And of course, there were some real business measures that made a big difference. So our staff turnover actually decreased by 3%. And conservative figures would say that's a bottom line saving of £135,000 a year. But the big one was the personnel's cost as a percentage of turnover, which actually went down by 2%, which might not sound much, but our personnel costs are over 60 million per year. So that's actually a productivity saving of £8 million, which, again, for us is astronomical. So actually some of the key measures there are really, really good. And there's nothing like getting the senior leadership on board than having some really clear measures in place before you start these programs, as I'm sure you all know.
Stephen, can I interrupt at that point? Do you think this was really because of the video that it really brought it to life and engaged people? Because these scores are amazing. I mean, I'm wondering whether you think you could have got them any other way.
Yeah, well, I think it's like anything that you do with L&D. It's a mixture of everything that you put into these things. So there are other initiatives going on as well at the same time. But it's the same with the learning. Would we have got the same effect without the video? I don't think we would, because, of the engagement increases and the change in learning culture that video brought about, which is kind of the sort of important thing for us. But also the anecdotal feedback. And what we also found, and we know people liked it, because people would go and watch one video and then it had a kind of a viral effect. They would watch 2 or 3 or 4 in a row, because it's quite fun and enjoyable. So we could see these patterns starting to emerge. And also, when we now run a piece of learning or a compliance piece of learning that doesn't contain video, the approval rating does slip back down in terms of what people are saying about it. So we know it does have a real impact on the end user and the quality. So yeah, that's kind of the leadership program, really. It's been really, really great fun running that. And not that I'm trying to plug it or anything, but we have actually sold the entire Know-How Leadership program to a couple of businesses, and they've taken all of the materials and they're running it internally themselves. So it's not only been great for us, but we've managed to share that as well with some other people. So that kind of sums that up around there. But what it did then is it sort of gave us the confidence to really then go on and grow our own video capability some more. So you can see in the top left picture there, you might not be able to see, but we've got our own little studio now, and it looks really complex. You've got a videographer there, which is my techie guy, Jeremy, and all the lights set up in a green screen. But actually, you can go out and source that kind of stuff really, really cheaply. The camera was expensive, but if you go onto Amazon, you can get the rest of the kit really, really cheap. But then what that allows us to do is bring experts and subject matter experts into the room. We can film them. And also the ability to go out off-site and capture our own people. This next video. So the next video, actually, we published this onto LinkedIn. It got 35,000 views. So it was really popular. It was part of our security course. So let's have a look and see if we can play this one.
Good morning, how are you doing? Right, it's a lovely day out there.
Beautiful, yeah.
I'm going to trouble you for some change.
Some change?
Yeah, for a 20, please.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, the stores look fantastic.
It's lovely, isn't
really
it?
Nice.
Yeah, really nice. Yeah.
Lovely stuff. Thanks ever so much. There you go.
Thank you.
Oh, hang on a sec. Do you know what? I do have change after all. Oh, I'm really sorry about this. Can I give you this for a tenner? Brilliant. Cheers. Yeah. That's good. I'll just count that before you stick it in.
Make sure it's 9 there, actually.
Oh, I'm really sorry. I'll tell you what, it seems I have got change anyway. If I give you that makes 10, that makes 20, and I'll just take the 20 back.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So as you can see, the quality, considering we're off in one of our stores there, is becoming really, really great now. And it's just through developing our own people. And another tip, if you want to go down this route, is if you've got somebody in your team who's a bit of a techie, loves cameras, then that is a massive help, because my guy, Jeremy, who works in the team, he does this all himself, the editing, the filming, and it's all self-taught in the last 2 or 3 years, which is, amazing. So that, as you can see, that's part of a security course. And then in the actual course itself, we had our own loss prevention officer who then would talk through how the scam worked with our employees. I've got a question in there. It's worth probably asking now, because this is a really relevant point. It's things from Anita. So what's been the biggest game changer using your own people, own videos, or the video arts content? It's a real mix, really, because they're so different. I mean, we are really limited to what we can produce with our own people, and with time and resource. So we try and make very co-op centric stuff with our own people, and with that you get the relevance and the people really understanding it and relating to it. The impact you get with the video arts is just the breadth of stuff that you get, and people accessing it from all different parts of the business. So it all has an impact, but in different ways. If I play this video, you'll see this is someone that all the colleagues would recognize in one of our areas, because he's in the shops all the time helping, and he's explaining how the scam works. So
this was a con then, Matt? How much did he actually get out of me?
£10 more than the person was entitled to.
So is this type of crime common?
I wouldn't say it's common. It's something that happens very rarely, but unfortunately it does happen, and it does have an impact across society.
So how does he do it, Matt?
The con man in this clip starts by being friendly to win your trust, and then asks for change of a £20 note, which you do.
The stores look fantastic.
It's lovely, isn't
really
it?
Nice.
Yeah, really nice. There you go.
Well,
20 quid there.
Excellent.
Notice how the con man stops you from closing the till by not handing over the £20 note straight away. He then realises he already has some change and asks to change the money back and deliberately gives you the wrong amount to cause confusion.
That's good. I'd just count that before you stick it in.
Oh
Make
yeah,
sure it's all there.
it's 9 there actually.
Oh, really sorry.
He then offers you the missing £1 coin and the £10 note you have just given him for his original £20 note. He has only given you £10 of his own money.
Yeah, so you can, I guess you can see there how relevant that would be to, we've got 3,500 people that work in stores. And for those guys, that is very relevant. It happens to them. We have scammers going into the shops, and it just brings it really to life. And if you want to have a look at that change scam, you can see it on my LinkedIn profile. And I am actually the con artist in that. So they do rope me into doing some videos every now and then. I want to quickly talk about, I mean, we've done loads of experimenting with technologies, but this was one that really stood out. And so we were the first retailer in UK who banned the sale of energy drinks to under 16s. And yeah, so we did that. We thought it was a great thing to do, but what it did was cause lots and lots of friction at our till points. And we were actually getting a lot of complaints. We were getting up to 20 complaints a day. And by people who are being refused sales of energy drinks. And we needed a way to get out to the staff, the colleagues really, really quickly. So we had the idea to just put a video on YouTube or Vimeo and then put some QR codes up in the staff rooms saying, if you've got any concerns, scan this. And what the scan did was take them to a simple video of one of their colleagues talking about how they resolved angry customers who are being refused energy drinks and why we were doing it as a business. And that was the reason it really stands out. We got 1,000 views in a week, and the complaints were halved. Within 2 weeks, we'd halved the amount of complaints we were getting. So it was a fantastic result, and it was just a really good experiment. It was completely off-grid learning. We weren't tracking it. All we were doing was tracking the result, which was the reduction in complaints. And yeah, that was an interesting one. With our new platform, we're going to be doing a lot more of that with data glyphs and scanning, and including a induction at head office where people can wander around, scan the data glyphs, and it will give them an introduction from the head of that department. So there's a question in about the learning platform. So I'm just going to go on and talk about that actually right now. So it's yeah, so which platform are you using? So we're actually using a user experience platform which is developed by Cornerstone On Demand, and we've rebranded it and called it the East of England Co-op Hive. It allows us to bring all of this content along with curated content from the web, face-to-face training, articles, and a real brave new world for us. We're literally 1 or 2 months since launch, and the feedback has been fantastic from our users. So we're really happy with it so far. It gives the learner a real rich picture of learning. And this is just, hopefully you can see this. This is just an example of what the platform looks like. It's got a really modern feel to it. It's more Netflix, I would say, than some of those business systems that we are used to using. You know, that's what our users expect now, isn't it? Something that looks great and has a much more modern feel. But really, the clever part comes in how you can start bringing all these learning elements together. So here's a really good example. So one of the people we're partnering with is a company called In Rehearsal. And, you know, they provide content on, it shows real people going through a real learning journey. So like managers being coached on screen, how to give feedback. And they're really short and powerful and practical. But what the system allows us to do, as you can see here, is bring 4 or 5 of those video elements together into a playlist. And then, you know, that can be created in 5 minutes and published to whoever you want within your system. But it just gives an example of how easily you can bring learning together. And the in-rehearsal stuff is really good. I'll give you a quick sample of that. I've got one here.
Giving feedback is an essential part of every manager's role. There's no such thing as good or bad feedback, positive feedback or negative feedback. There's only feedback that's delivered well or feedback that's delivered not so well. When we think of what feedback delivered well is, we think of something that is heard, that is understood, and most importantly, that can be acted upon. Christian, I'm curious, do you give a lot of feedback at work?
Yeah, probably not as much as I should do.
Well, listen, you're not alone. Most managers say that they do give feedback, but probably not as much as they should, and there's certain moments where they find it's struggle to do it at all.
Right, okay.
So I'm curious about your experience. What is it that's stopping you, generally, from giving more feedback?
Good question. I guess there's a bit about not feeling credible all the time, and also feeling really clear.
So yeah, that's just a really short clip of some of the in-rehearsal stuff, and they could really bring complex problems to life like that, and make it really sort of very relatable for people in the business. It's really popular with our senior manager community, and like video arts, there's nothing really else like in-rehearsal out there. There's nothing really like video arts out there. They're very different, and they offer a really good selection of learning. Another way that we bring the video in, so this is another learning pathway for people. This is where we've got a well-being pathway on happiness or happiness habits. So in here we've got a video from Video Arts. We have a workbook, which is from Video Arts, that managers can work through with their people. Then we've got an article from the BBC. We've got an action plan that people can go off and follow. So it's just 4 things. You don't have to do it in any order, and that's just another example of bringing all the different learning elements together and integrating video into a pathway, so to speak. Another way, because we're still using video arts in the classroom, believe it or not. We've got all this technology and we're able to deliver video, but oh, hang on, I've got a quick question. I'll go to that. Am I right in thinking you can track viewership in Cornerstone by how much of the video? Yes, you can. You can do. It's got multiple settings in there, so you can track by how much, or you can you can track lots and lots of stuff. I haven't got the detail to hand, but it's in terms of its reporting, it's probably the most powerful system I've ever seen. It's incredible. I should be getting commission, really. Anyway. Yeah, so we're still using video arts in the classroom, and this is a really good example. So a senior manager's going for a massive change project. So we're doing a bit around team motivation. We're doing a little bit around change. So we did a classroom session. Then this is the email that I sent out afterwards, which is a recap of their actions that they agreed, and then a link to the videos we saw and the videos which are linked to the next session. Now, 70% of the people who attended went and rewatched the videos that we'd seen, and 95% went and watched the videos for the next topic. So you can just see the buy-in. And I've got to say, why is video arts different? Only they could cover Bruce Tuckman's team development model using Lycra. And I'll show you a clip of the video that they use.
Hi, I'm Good Leader.
And I'm Bad Leader.
There are 4 stages to building a great team: forming, storming, norming, and performing.
Or boring, 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 and boring.
Okay, what would make it more interesting for you?
I don't know. Superheroes? Okay, listen up. The evil Nebulous is going to steal the Earth's water with his hydro laser. We have to save the day. Now, I forgot to get the name badges made, so I think we'll just go around the room.
I'm Dynamat, a walking nuclear reactor. Pleased to be here.
I'm Miss Terry. I can go undetected almost anywhere. Now you see me. Now you don't.
Where did she go?
Very impressive.
I'm Good Leader. I can bend lightning and other sources of electricity at my will.
Oh, Saving the best till last, I'm Bad Leader, and I can go into slow motion in the blink of an eye. So, here's what we should do.
Slow motion?
Yes, that's right. Slow motion.
So again, that's yeah. So not only has it got their uptake, but it just uses such fun to get across these messages and make it memorable for people to go away. And I think, you know, in the early days when I first looked at video arts, they said, you know, people learn nothing when they're bored, and I think that's something I could certainly sort of buy into. Now, I've got 3 minutes left, and I want to just talk about one more thing that we're launching, which is going to be supported by video, which is the 12 months of well-being, 12 months of well-being essentials here, because we're going to be running this over the next 12 months, launching at the end of the year. And every month we're picking one of the well-being topics from video arts. And video arts work with Oliver Berkman, and who is the author of a book called The Antidote, which is happiness for people that can't stand positive thinking. And it's fantastic. The content of these courses is great. People really seem to love it. So every month we're going to launch a video along with a lunch and learn session on that particular topic. And then we'll create a learning path with several other interventions as well. And that's going to run, again, completely underpinned by the video art stuff, but it allows us to bring lots of other elements into play. And I'm really excited to be launching that. I've got a clinical psychologist coming in to help me launch it on the 30th. So that's kind of the end of my journey, really. Oh, I've got a clip from one of those wellbeing essentials. So I'll show that first, and then it will be the end of my journey.
What's happened to our momentum? Why have we stopped?
I'm just feeling a bit, you know. Ugh.
And with just 2 hours left, we're unlikely to finish today's tasks, Captain.
We're losing productivity. Engage caffeine boost.
We're caffeine to the max, Captain.
What?
Perhaps this energy crisis indicates a bigger problem.
Perhaps we are not capable of this role.
I knew all along. We're a failure.
Can this be true? Are we incapable? Inadequate? Unable to fulfill our duties? Have I failed in my leadership? Should we perhaps abandon the mission entirely? Oh, no, now I'm feeling ugh as well.
Captain, remember, no one's perfect.
Yes, they are. Look who's coming.
Oh my God, it's Zaina Brooks. Try and look cool, everybody.
Hey, gorgeous. How's it going?
Zaina! Yeah, awesome. You?
You know me, man. Always. Always. Snapping necks and cashing checks. You sure you're good? You looked a little...
No. I'm so good, you know? Making bets and sending texts.
Yeah, so again, for us, it's just it takes a subject like well-being, which is a really hot topic at the moment, and it just makes it fun. It allows people to relate and realize that, you know, lots of people go through the same sorts of thoughts and feelings when it comes to that. So that is the end of the journey. As you can see, it's been an interesting one, and I hope that, you know, you've learned something here and could take away some of those tips to use in your own business. So I'll hand back if there are any questions, or if Joan or any of the panelists or visitors have got any questions, stick them in the chat box.
Yeah, thanks very much, Stephen. That was really interesting. And I would encourage anybody to put in some questions now into the chat. It's very impressive to see the range of videos that you've bought in, but also I think, Stephen, what you've done yourselves. You mentioned very briefly user-generated content, and I think somebody raised that earlier. What's your approach to that? How do you go about deciding where to invest what are, I presume, fairly limited resources?
Yeah, well, this is where I guess this is kind of a bit of the future, really, a glimpse into our future. And at the moment, we have a little plan to start upskilling our team and change their role to more of a curator role, and to help facilitate user-generated learning. And this, for us, will be priceless in some of our businesses, especially if you take funerals, for example. We're one of the leading funeral providers in the UK, but all of the knowledge is so specialist and within that business, and it's very sensitive. And for the L&D team, we don't hold any of the knowledge. So with them, we're already working on a couple of projects because of the high value of return, capturing what the best funeral directors are doing, the best funeral arrangers and drivers and bearers of coffins. That stuff is priceless and it's locked away within the business. So user generated content there will absolutely revolutionize the way we share best practice with our people.
Mm. And would they then come up with some ideas and you would then facilitate the filming, getting the right people in your studio, for example? Or will you use something, would you go down a route of using more informal technology like, mobiles or stuff?
Yeah, we absolutely want to go down the route of using informal, but in the early days, as we're doing now, it's going to be led by us, facilitated and probably recorded by us. Mm-hmm. And then over the next 3 years, we're looking to put that into the hands of the people. So they create on their mobile phones, and with a technology platform, we're looking at several at the moment, and be able to provide us with stuff which we then curate and bring into the system. So we're looking to really become the trainers of trainers, or the trainers of people who can generate content themselves.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it makes it much more accessible to everybody. And it gives, I think it's just that shared ownership, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you know what? People have got brilliant ideas out there, as we've found already, because half of the stuff now and half of the ideas are coming from the people when we bring them into the studio. And we've now used over 175 colleagues from across the business in training programs.
Fantastic. I'm wondering whether anybody on the webinar is doing something similar. Anita, you added a comment. Sounds like you have a real plan. I know a lot of L&D teams that want to rush into this stuff, and sometimes the audience isn't ready. Thoughts on that, Stephen?
Yeah, absolutely. And for us, it's been a bit of a journey, and we still get some people who really, until they sort of see the content and experience like kind of blended, the way that you're blending it into the business, they still would say, well, it's just a video, isn't it? It's not learning. I should be in a classroom. So it's really important that you don't just try and jump from one to the other. And what we've found is where video supports other learning interventions, that's where it's strongest. And that's where we're seeing real results. But our journey's been one over 5 years so far. And to get user-generated content, we probably see that as another 3 years before that's really working. So it is about taking time, engaging people as much as you can. We are so close to the business, much closer than we've ever been. And, I have my trainers going out with area managers, regularly and spending time with them and going to commercial meetings. So it takes a lot of time and effort to embed yourself with the business. I think that really helps.
But that is the holy grail, I think. If you listen to people talking at events like Learning Technologies, what they're saying is it's not about sitting in your room waiting for people to come and ask you to prepare a course. It's about getting out there with the business and really understanding what needs to change and helping them to achieve that.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. And, you hear this journey of going from order takers to consultants or trusted advisors. And I've got to say the guys really have, because, we were a traditional L&D team. People would come to us and say, book us a course. And we've gone through that painful transition of saying, oh, why do you want to book a course? What do you want to change? And who is it for? And what are they doing now? And what do you want them to do? And that's kind of that was a bit prickly at first, but now people really appreciate that. And so the example I gave with the energy drinks, that the business came to us and said, we're getting these complaints every day. How can we fix it? They didn't say, write us a course. They didn't they didn't come up to us and ask us to provide a 5-minute eLN. They said, fix the problem. And that's a massive transformation. But that just comes from being ingrained in the business, really.
I think one of the things, well, first of all, was there anything specific you did to help your team to scale up to that? Or was it more learning by doing and sharing their experiences with each other?
Well, the biggest learning platform in the world, YouTube, for the technical stuff, it has been really good. We did some work with the Training Academy TAP on blended learning. But we do lots amongst ourselves. I mean, I go out and work with lots and lots of organisations and talk to other L&D people, and I bring it back in-house and share as much best practice as we can. So it's a mixture of everything really, but not so much formal, mostly self-led. And like I said earlier, if you can get yourself someone who's a techie and loves cameras and stuff, that's how
they take it forward.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah, there's a couple more questions have come in. Can you have a look at those?
So there's one from Anita there. So I know a lot of you've kind of done that one, haven't we? How easy was it to set the QR codes up? Really, really easy. I mean, we just used a piece of free software to do that. I think there are probably better and more robust ways. And I think the one that we used put an advert on when it logged you onto the video, but it was free and it still got the 1,000 views. And I'm sure you can do it in a better way. Now that we have Cornerstone, we can deep link from anywhere straight into the course, so we can then start to track usage of that. So that's a lot better, and that's what we're going to be trying quite soon. But yeah, the QR code was dead simple. Loads of free software out there. Have you tried generating humorous or otherwise non-straight-laced content internally to overcome people who don't learn when they're bored? So the in-rehearsal stuff, which is not humorous, is really, really popular. We've got some serious stuff as well. We've got some very instructional. We've used it in compliance with like the head of the health and safety talking. So we've got a real mix actually. And I think with experience, being able to understand what works well where and your audience is really important, I think. It's because some things you think it would be difficult to make a humorous video about a fire that happened in one of our shops. But having said that, I've thought that about things. I didn't think anyone would be able to do a funny video about display screen equipment, and Video Arts then came out with one, so it can be done.
Just one thing about video. I mean, I used to work in the BBC in the training department, and they made the distinction between sit back and lean forward learning, and television is traditionally sit back, you're relaxing, you're just enjoying yourself, you're not necessarily engaging sort of that cognitively with what's going on. Whereas if you want lean forward stuff, you're actually trying to get people to engage as you are with this content and really think about it. So I think the way you've said that you set it in a context is critical, because you're potentially asking people some questions up front, or putting follow-up questions in, or having tasks set up around it to not just have them watch the video but actually think about the so what for them. Would that be a fair assumption of the way you're using it?
Yeah, absolutely. We always try and whatever they do, whatever learning path or individual videos, give them somewhere then going off and doing it, as quickly as possible. This where it's got a big advantage over classroom is someone could do a full day course on communicating and then go home for the weekend, but they could watch a 5-minute video on giving feedback and walk out of their office or walk into the shop and do it immediately.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can just really start to get people embedded in the learning right off the bat.
Excellent. Well, I think we've got all the questions. So what I'm going to do is stop sharing and pull up our e-learning website. I'll just do a small plug on that. I might be able to do it myself actually. Yeah, that's done. It's all right. I think we're okay now. So for those of you who aren't up to speed with what we're doing, I'm just pulling up the website now, which you can see. I'll just close the poll and then you'll see it better. So we've got our first face-to-face event tomorrow actually, which is the Learning Technologies Awards Showcase, and I think we've still got some spaces left on that. That's in London. Obviously we've got today's, and we will be scheduling more events face-to-face. So if you're not already hooked into our mailing list, etc., then please do come on the website and learn more. But essentially, I haven't got too much more to add other than to say thanks very much, Stephen. I think people will agree it's been an excellent session, and we have recorded this, so we will put it up on our YouTube channel and make it more widely available then, because I think it was very relevant and had lots of really interesting examples. So I think unless anybody's got anything else to add, we'll stop it there.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.